last year when Kylie and I talked up in this room? Okay, hi Doug, thanks for coming back.
Jonathan. He kind of has to be here, but.
Just because our talk last year was on mental health, and it was a very emotional room, including us. Today's lighthearted, so feel free to come in. Don't be afraid, because it's Kylie and I speaking together again this year. Important topic.
Yes.
Not minimizing.
Not at all.
Not minimizing. We're just saying it's gonna be a little lighter today.
Not hitting the scale quite as heavy as here.
No, we're talking about pain. That can be heavy too.
All right.
Right.
I think we'll get started.
Okay.
All right. Thanks everyone, welcome. I'm Bridget Kelly. I'm with the Minnesota Safety Council in the membership team. And I just have a quick couple announcements and then we'll get started. This is the Winona room and the title session is From Pain to Productivity. So just make sure you're in the right spot. We'll be going for 1 hour. Please have your name tags visible throughout the conference and check out the new app. The paper brochure is only partial, so all the detailed information is in the app. We have 118 exhibitors this year, so please check them out and visit them. You'll see both of the rooms are full and we've got folks in the hallway and they really would like to meet you and show you their goods and services. Prizes today are happening at 2:30 in the Isanti exhibit hall. Tomorrow it's happening in the Minnetonka. So to drop your name at the Minnesota Safety Council booth, you should have a tag for Monday and Tuesday. All right. In case we need to exit this room for any emergency purposes, we're gonna go out and to the right, down, and out of the building. Bathrooms are located out these doors and to the left. And please join us after the 4:30, or at 4:30 we have a reception. So we're having entertainment, there's some food, and a cash bar. The session surveys are found on the QR code and in the app. The overall conference survey will be emailed to you, as will CEU forms if you're looking for those. All right. So please help me welcome Kylie Bathauer and Melissa Gill. Kylie is a passionate advocate for reshaping safety cultures across various industries, drawing on a rich background in public health, human performance, and human behavior. Kylie brings practical solutions that go beyond meeting industry standards. We also have Melissa Gill with us today. Melissa is Doctor of Physical Therapy and owner of On-Site Solutions Physical Therapy. Throughout the years, she has worked in a variety of settings with orthopedics as her area of concentration. Currently, her business has almost 30 physical therapists working on site across the country with some of the most well-known Minnesota businesses and construction companies in the country. Please welcome our guests.
We're assuming we're going to be good to get the claps at the beginning, so just in case it's silence at the end. Actually, I shouldn't have redone that. We're up to 50 physical therapists across the country. So Kylie and I work together in a lot of places. We are both passionate, but this is supposed to be interactive. So if you just sit there for an hour, it's not going to be as fun, or you're not going to learn as much. And so we may have that interaction piece. It'll be more fun for me and more fun for you. So well, let's get going.
So there was, I think, 3 people total that were here last year for us. Did anybody else walk into the room? Guess so, maybe? Okay. Well, last year there was a little bit of tears. This year, my goal is to make you laugh. I try, as most safety people do, but we'll see how that goes. So we're talking from pain to productivity. Who saw that title and was like, what the heck is that? Nobody?
We're perfect. Okay.
Like, come on.
I don't know. I'm gonna go to something. I'm getting paid for this, right? That's fine. That's how you picked. Why you picked us, but
Well, I'm okay with that. Hopefully,
Yeah.
still take something away from it. But so before we get into a little bit of a comical introduction for us, we're going to talk about what our actual mission is today.
yes. So here's the things we want you guys to learn today. Focusing on 3 specific things. Number 1 is what is pain, and in the world of safety is understanding what people that are having pain, what they're going through, and give ways in which you can be as most effective as possible when you're dealing with people that are in pain. The impact of that pain on productivity, If we haven't connected that before, I think that was a really interesting thing we wanted to talk about is, people are uncomfortable. So let's talk about it instead of just pretending and blaming. Let's talk about that. And lastly, what is the impact of safety on productivity? And how do you use on-site programs? What does that look like? And we'll talk about that, and that's my expertise. Kylie being in safety and us working together for a long time, we bring lots of knowledge and information. But again, if you have questions, raise your hand, because we are supposed to be doing slides, but this is really about you. So if there's things you want to know and it's off a tangent, maybe we'll go that way. But it's for you. We're here to serve you guys today.
So I had to do quite a few introductions for myself this year as I started a newer position, and I learned the thing I hate most is introducing myself. So I asked ChatGPT one day how it would introduce me. So this is what it came up with. A fearless leader of construction safety, a mastermind of playground peril prevention, and a connoisseur of steel-toe boots, she juggles risk assessments like a circus act, ensuring subcontractors don't turn job sites into demolition derbies, and probably dreams in PPE checklists. I was laughing at just how accurate that felt. And one of the questions I sometimes ask myself is, how the heck did I end up standing in front of a bunch of people who probably know a whole lot more than I do? Well, according to ChatGPT, perhaps to bend the very fabric of workplace safety to her will, or maybe just to procrastinate for 5 minutes before wrangling another telehandler operator into compliance. Like, okay, I'll take that. So I wanted to know what ChatGPT had to say about Melissa.
Yeah, me too.
Sorry, I do have one more slide, but actually, this is why I'm here. This is why I do what I do. Most importantly, I've got some letters behind my name, as some people said alphabets too. But what I've learned more from is that kid up there, and from my own journey with pain, and how that has affected me, and also how it has affected him, and the different ways we were able to do a whole lot of different things most people probably wouldn't have expected.
And I did not do this slide. I'm a superhero if I must.
That was the best picture I found. I could not use it.
Oh gosh. I mean, I really started in this world in business and marketing, and then because PT school was too hard, so I waited a while. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm really drawn to helping people. I love working out, the body, the physicality of it, and understanding why the body moves, how it moves, and then being able to apply that to real people. So, and half marathons on purpose, yes. So I've been doing this in this on-site space. I've been doing this for about 16 years. And what started as me by myself to growing to 50 physical therapists, we've learned a whole lot along the way. So if anybody heard me speak or know about the company 5 years ago, 6 years ago, we're just different. We've learned, we've morphed. We've worked with some of the best companies in the country that have helped push us to make what we do even better. So I bring a lot of knowledge to the space today, and hope I can share some stuff that's beneficial to you.
I do have to also comment that you might not be asking for snacks like her kid, but she may or may not have brought some that she'll talk about later.
We'll see, that's what we like around.
So, first, I want to talk about the elephant in the room. What comes to mind when you guys saw from pain to productivity? How many of us have had to deal with safety slowing us down? Safety's not letting me do my job. Safety's trying to tell me how to do my job.
Or the elephant in the room is pretending like people aren't in pain, they're not sore. We shouldn't ask about it because we don't want to know the answer, right? And to me, that is the elephant in the room that I want to help by the end of this hour give you specific tactics and tools that Kylie and I both use to how do you address people in pain? And do they have to be in pain? And what does that mean? So to me, the elephant in the room is you guys assuming that people are feeling good when you know you're not. How many of you are just at an age where even if you're not doing the work they're doing, you're still feeling it? And the rest of you just don't raise your hand because you didn't want to participate. But a lot of us are feeling it even if we're at our desk, even if we're getting in and out of our car. So we're feeling it, look at the job the other people are doing, and I also feel bad about asking people, like, boy, that's a tough job, that's really hard, because I don't have to do it. I feel like, how can I even connect when I don't understand what it's like, you know, to dig in dirt for 8 hours so they can lay cable, or pull electrical wires through the ceiling for 8 hours. I don't do it, I don't get it, but I still have a benefit, and I can still make them feel better. So that's our elephants in the room. That's where we're starting from.
So how many of us can relate to the perceptions of the health and safety manager? Most of us? Especially when we start getting more programs we have to monitor, more documents that we have to look at, file, try to understand, try to read, or, you know, getting to battle the, again, that's not my job, or you don't tell me how to do my job, you don't do my job, you don't understand. This, I felt, summed up very well what it felt like being a safety person at the same company every single day before I took on a consulting role. You know, I was the person that said no. I was the person who didn't understand. I was the person who was going to make it really hard to do your job. But how many of us are safety professionals? Assuming the majority of the room, how many of us in here has a goal of slowing everybody down? How many of us have a goal of not understanding people? I hope nobody ever. How many of us want them to be able to do their job and do it well? So hopefully by the end of today we can talk through how to get a little bit more of that buy-in.
All right. This is my life. What my mom thinks I do, my kids think that I'm just there to make everybody feel better, including them. Most of my physical therapy friends are thinking of traditional physical therapy. What we're talking about today is not traditional physical therapy in a clinic. It's not like that. What we're talking about is taking all that physical therapy knowledge and applying it to people not getting injured. Having the physical therapist viewpoint of seeing, how is that guy pulling wire, and how is that affecting the rotator cuff? And what's going to happen if they do that over 10 years? What are their neck pain? What are their spine? How do I fix it? How do I make it better? So it's not waiting, it's trying to do that proactively and preventatively. Now, Kylie did this. I don't know if I appreciate this one. The honest truth is, he probably listens as much as the rest of them do.
I may have been thinking of Jonathan at the time.
What society thinks I do, again, a lot of people still think to be an effective physical therapist, you have to put your hands on people. That's part of it. But what I'm talking about is watching people move, talking to them about what's ailing them. For how many times I've asked somebody like, God, that looks like a really hard job. Where are you sore? And sometimes I'm like, well, yeah, that makes some sense. And sometimes I'm like, interesting, I didn't know you'd feel sore there. I can't guess. It's a conversation, but my PT brain wants to look at their anatomy and talk and fix. And that might be true. Not a superhero, but trying to make things better. And the one thing that I would say I actually do, the one thing that's most important is trying to get people to connect to what their body is feeling. Okay? So, just for funsies, because if you sat the whole hour, especially after lunch, it's not going to happen. So in just 1 minute, we're going to get up and we're going to try an exercise. This is something everybody can do. It's not hard, but I want you to connect your brain to your body, to what you are feeling. Fair? Okay, everyone stand up, please. Oh, groan. Why did I go to this one? I could have been outside or sitting down. All right, so the most important thing when we're talking about preventing injuries, when we're talking about how bodies feel, the most important thing is connecting the brain and what we're feeling to what's happening in the body. So, we're going to do a very, very simple exercise. This is the one thing, if you just ignored me this whole time and are listening right now, the one thing to save your spine is to put it in the opposite position. Most jobs people have, even though us in the room, we're doing something that's leaning forward. You put your shoes on, you brush your teeth, you got in the car. People that do jobs are doing low-level work. Saving our spines is putting the spine in the opposite position, what does that look like? What's the opposite to that? Back bends. But before you do it, I know you're super excited. You guys were already trying. What I want you to do is I want you to connect with the movement. So we're going to start with feet shoulder width apart. Connect with what your foot is doing in your shoe. Does it feel even? Do you feel each foot equally? Okay? If you have a leg length discrepancy, if you have something different, maybe not, but just like be aware of what your feet are doing. Next, when we do that back bend, I don't want you to don't do it mindlessly. Don't just like, oh, she's making me do this. I want you to think about it. I want you to think about going straight back, nice and equal, and see what stops you. Is there a pain? Is there a discomfort? Or you're like, no, I went pretty well, came back up. Doesn't matter what the answer is, it's connecting brain to body. We're gonna do 5, here we go. Feet shoulder width apart. It's not a hold, it's go back as far as you can and come back up nice and tall. And then bonus, it's the best thing you can do for your spine. You're welcome. Okay, here we go. Hands on hip, nice and tall, good posture. Here we go, go back. Oh, you guys are beautiful. Come up tall. Good, don't hold your breath. Because some of you were like, which means you just held your breath. Okay, go back. I'm talking, which means I'm breathing. And come up. You guys let your heads go back a little bit. Awesome, go back. Oh, this feels so good. It's your favorite session. Make sure you put that on the QR code when done. 2 more. Back. And come up. 1 more, go back. And come up tall. The goal was connect brain to body. Did anybody feel like they got a little further? Did you connect to that? Did anybody feel maybe a pinching or a, I feel something more on the right. It doesn't matter what it is. I just wanted you to make that brain-body connection. That was the point. And bonus, it's the best thing for your spine. There you go. You can have a seat again. So this kind of gets into the heart of the, I always hate trying to come up with some kind of title for a talk, because how many times have I gotten into talking like, that's not what the title says. So it's really hard for us to come up with something today with pain and productivity and safety, but we're gonna get there. Pain is personal. Now, can I have you for a minute? I know.
Sit in the back of the next
No, this will not be that. I will not embarrass you, I promise.
Me too?
Well, you were nice. You
I'm
said
just
that.
kidding.
Okay. Okay. Both put your hand up. Give me this hand. Give me this one go down. This one go down. Okay. Now this is true. This is how pain is. This is anatomy. This is a lot of things. Now I have not met them, and they seem like nice enough guys, right? But if I had like a, I don't know, like a screwdriver or something, and this is violent. If this triggers anyone, it's okay. I'm sorry, but that's your warning. But if I had like screwdrivers in both hands and I took the same force and velocity, with his hand, I wasn't gonna ever do it for you. But if I were to take them and like, boom, put that through both of their hands, same velocity, would they feel the same to those guys? In no way, shape, or form. Even though like the size of their hands is kind of similar, the depth of it, all that, you know, it's pretty similar. It's complex. These guys, like let's say Jay here is like, my ex-wife has that color hair, and I hate every woman that's got that color hair. Let's say that Gregory is like, oh my God, I used a screwdriver once, and somebody had stabbed me before. Their perceptions and their history coming up to this minute, and all of who they are, even though the injury was physically the same, their perception and their reaction is not the same. It's complicated. Because he didn't fight with his hand. I wasn't doing like the slap game or anything, but that'd be a good one. I'll do that next time. So the point for both these guys is how they feel about me, how they feel about the date, how they feel about the conference, how they feel about everything is feeding in to what they're actually feeling in their hands and what the brain is doing, connecting that injury with the brain. The brain-body connection makes a difference. Thanks, you guys. Let's give them a hand because they did not do it. He's not shy. I might use him again. But pain. Oh yeah. Totally. And the reason why we bring up pain is personal is First of all, how many in the room are in safety but did the job or some level of physicality of the job before you got into safety? Okay? With 16 years of experience, I can tell you, sometimes my people that are in safety or in management that used to do the job have a perception of how hard or easy that job is. And the younger generation, or whatever they want to put on that, are biased of how hard or easy a job is. Therefore, they shouldn't be feeling pain because I did that job. That is part of this as well, your perceptions, because if you're putting your thoughts on somebody else's experience, that's not fair. Their pain, their injury, their aches and pains are truly their own. So if I could, again, say anything from the outside looking into safety, it would be, please stop trying to put your thoughts and perceptions on the people you're talking to, because their pain is personal. We just talked about it. So don't assume that they're not in pain. If somebody opens up to you and comes to you, and we'll talk about this, what can you do? What's a level of questioning, thoughts, empathy that connects you to people without your perceptions and perceptions and biases put a wall up? Okay?
So on that, how many of us have or know somebody who has had a back injury?
Like everybody.
I would assume it's the whole room. So when you know somebody has a back injury, what is your assumption right away? Are you going to question their ability to do certain tasks because they have a history of back injuries? Well, how many of us know what that feels like? What a back injury feels like? And how many of you felt it only in your back? How many felt it in your leg? In the glute? How many of you had it travel down your foot? And I guarantee you we all had different mechanisms of injury. It all looked differently, right? Now, on top of that, to couple with the bias that we end up having, if we hear back injury, we're going to question their ability. But I've had 4 back surgeries, and I ran a marathon. Did I fall into that category? So it goes both ways. It's not just, we can't assume that people don't have the ability to do something because they had a specific injury, because as we've already said, pain is going to be different for everybody.
And again, this isn't a lecture on pain, although I think that'd be fascinating, because I feel that talking about pain is fascinating and how our brains work and that perception. But basically, this is just to say, when I had my 2 friends up here and we talked about that their reaction is going to be different from all the history they bring with them to that day, multiple areas of the brain are lit up when pain happens. And as soon as you have an injury, as soon as somebody is feeling uncomfortable, they may not even have come to you guys yet. But what's happening is their brain has other things it's thinking about, which is not going to be safety. And it's not going to be even focusing maybe on the job, but it's not their fault. When pain happens, it scrambles the messages in the brain, and they're basically thinking about the pain. So when we're talking about production and people having pain, I think if we ask somebody about it, it's going to open a can of worms. But realize if people are uncomfortable, do you think they're being productive? No. They're in pain. And like it or not, if they're fighting through it, it's that stoic employee, they are still not as clear in the brain, and it's not their fault. That's the mechanism. I love this picture. This is called a pain neuromatrix. And we're not going into the parts of the brain, but just take a look at the parts that are activated with pain. We have things with concentration and focusing, problem solving, memory, fear. I didn't bring that up. Let's say Gregory, again, did you see him? I didn't even put that together, not saying he's afraid of me, but he did flinch a little bit. He may have had a fear that I was going to do it, that I was going to actually do something to him, I don't know. But that's a response that he brought to the table. There's stress. There's movement and cognition issues, memory, spatial recognition. Do you want that for somebody who's doing heavy machinery, heavy equipment? And also with the spinal cord. So I bring this up because I think we want to classify pain as that person's problem, their fault. We don't want to ask about it. And I want you to remember, most people, if they're doing physical labor, they're having discomfort. And the most stoic individual that doesn't say anything, that's the one who should be worried about. Because they just keep doing it day by day by day, and then they're just working and they're just working themselves to the bone. So just want to bring this up. Oh, the mind-body connection. Again, I love that Kylie found this little video here, because pain bogs the mind and it can lead to decisions that put us at risk, right? So we're trying to set the stage, and this is all going to come back to how can we be more productive, help people.
So when we think about some of the decisions we've made when we're in pain, did you take a shortcut because walking that far is going to hurt? Did you choose to grab the wrong tool because having to climb up the ladder to get the right thing just felt like it was going to be too much? How many of us asked that question during our accident investigations? Why did we make that decision? How many times is that decision based off of, well, sometimes speed, obviously, because productivity, right? Or is it because it was easier for them because they hurt? So, for those of you who were here last year, you saw this slide before. Something very significant occurs when we're in pain, but also as the person watching somebody in pain. How many of us have been told or heard people say these things? Stop being so sensitive. It's a you thing. That can't hurt. There's no way that hurts. As Melissa said, I've done that job for 15 years. That doesn't hurt me. And as we say these things, what do you think is happening to that employee? Anybody?
They feel worse about themselves.
They feel worse. The shame that comes with pain, the burdensomeness, the bothersomeness, because especially in the construction industry, you don't want to be perceived as the baby, right? Or the problem. Because how many of us, when we start talking about pain, thought of an employee who has made our hair turn gray because something's always wrong? I think all of us have seen that before. Well, there probably is something wrong, but it might not be the immediate thing that they're telling you, because that's easy to talk about. It's easy to say, it hurts to do this to this, when there's actually probably something else a lot deeper happening.
Let's just go back to that first. You brought up such a good point that I was thinking about when you were talking, which it's the root cause. And this isn't to talk about mental health, but there are so many connections with the brain and body in the world. In the world of physical therapy, people come to us because they hurt. There's a lot of times where we're just talking. Because we work direct to employer, I don't have to bill insurance. Somebody wants to talk to us for an hour, they want to talk to one of the PTs, you would not believe the conversations that come out of that. Because the body holds pain. It holds trauma, it holds emotion, it holds all the stuff. It's not easy. This is not an hour talk about, here's your checklist, go do it. It's more complicated, and it's not easy, and it's not simple, and I don't have a perfect answer for you. We have experience of things to talk about, but the body holds that trauma, it holds that emotion. But in having physical therapists be direct to employer gives them that space where if we just put our, can I put my hand on your shoulder really quick? I've already violated your space. All right, if I'm just like, Greg, how are you doing? How are things going? The touch makes a difference for people. There's so much science on it. People don't get touched, even that simple amount, that something starts happening to the brain. So the mind-body connection also works with ways that we can connect with people. And we can make them feel better. You guys are in safety. What can you do? And we'll talk about this, but this is how my brain works. I'm like, ooh, just as fine. But if I were to say, use it, does everyone know this trick? To use somebody's name and touch them at the same time? oh, this is good. Okay, so the first thing you remember is backbends are good. Second thing is an appropriate touch with their name is magic. People like to hear their name. They want to feel acknowledged and heard. And if you say their name and touch them, try this. So if I just be like, hey, Gregory, how you feeling today? Or like, it was so good to see you. The touch, the name, and the connection does something in the brain. To be a more effective safety person, you may just like, again, put your hand on their arm and say like, hey, how are you today? How you feeling? Saw you at the back? Saw you were limping around a little bit. But the touch, the name, the acknowledgement's gonna go a long way.
And having the advantage of working with an ergonomic program that has an expert, a physical therapist that comes in to do these conversations goes a long way. Because how many of us feel like some people don't want to tell us certain things because it opens a whole can of worms. It triggers a report. It triggers corporate to come by us. Well, with the experience that I had when I was in a corporate setting with a very, very robust, paperwork-heavy safety program, it made my life so much easier having another individual who could connect with those employees. They would see things with their perspective, while I would also see things with my perspective, and we'd be able to actually team up to help the employees, specifically helping them before it turns into a reportable incident or further pain.
Yeah.
So why do we care about this topic? Obviously, I think we've covered that much already. I think, do we all understand why we care now? We understand why it does make a difference to care about individuals' perspectives. Because how many of us will give a correction to somebody and watch them do the exact opposite? Most of us, I think, have seen it before. Just last week, I watched somebody climb onto a roof after I told them no. Well, do they trust you? Do they feel connected to you? Do they believe you know what you're doing? Well, having the ability to connect and understand people at a deeper level will change that for you. Hopefully. Sometimes you can't, but the majority. Do you have anything to add? So, let's talk about what doesn't work with ergonomics. Because how many of us have thought, this is another piece of paper I have to do. I have to check another box. How many of your employees have looked at the ergonomic assessment for the assigned task? Exactly. Most of us haven't. We've checked that box. So why do we do it? What's the intention? How many of us have tried to add a different tool or change the way a layout was set up just to go back a couple days later and see somebody moved it again? Most of us? I know I have. Why do you think that is? Who are we including? Who are we communicating with? So if they don't know the intention of a move, what is impacting the decision they're making? Most likely comfort or speed versus injury prevention, right? Because do we know how something is going to be done correctly if we're never taught the how, the why? How many of us know that when we pick something up off the floor, use your legs, not your back? What does that actually look like? Do you show your employees that? Do you tell them that? Do they watch a video that tells them how to lift up a box? How many of us can learn a movement by watching a video? We can try, but we need to feel it. Do you have anything to add?
Yeah, because people don't have that connection, right? That's why videos don't work. That's why, to me, ergonomic assessments don't work. Because it's a piece of paper and it's not a full program start to finish and making sure we're taking everything into account. There's other people talking about ergonomics. Every year there's people talking about ergonomics. It's a dirty word. You guys already know what ergonomics is. The difference that a physical therapist can bring is understanding how the body moves. Understanding that when you're pulling above head, that's the rotator cuff, and it decreases the space between this and this, which shears the rotator cuff. It gets back to the why. So that's the difference. But I want to hear from you. What ergonomics things are not working? Let's start with the negative first. What hasn't worked? Oh, everyone's perfect. Good. All right. Bye. Good to know.
Ergonomics training, the training in general, and then just the handoff of that training. So like, it's always been like a lighter kind of topic when it comes to ergonomic programs, and then the training that I got was always a lighter subject, so it wasn't as serious at the time. So it just doesn't seem that serious right now.
Did everybody hear what he said? It was really good. Okay, so I'm going to recap poorly. Okay, he basically said that some of the education was light, and then trying to get that implemented all the way through to the worker and all of the levels, like kind of hitting it. You said it so much better. It wasn't as effective as it could be. Fair? Okay.
There.
What else hasn't worked? Yeah.
So I would work for a contract medical company, so a lot of our clients, sometimes we have an issue, we bring a proposal, and then they end up, shooting it down, trying to find, that happy medium solution. It ends up feeling like a band-aid over a little threat. Fixing the problem, we're just basically just putting a tarp over it and just calling it good.
Checking a box, putting a tarp over, like just saying that you're doing it. Because you know why? It's not easy. I know you guys get ergonomic education. I know over here there's the topics here, but it's not easy. Because to me, the hardest part to get is the part I get, which is what the body's doing. Even more importantly, how do you discuss that with an employee doing a job? Like Kylie said, bend with your knees. Well, guess what? These knees can't go down to the ground. Now what? Now what's my solution? And unless we get to the root cause and connect with people, we're not going to pick the right solution. My biggest pet peeve for ergonomics or ergonomic consultants, and I do this, but I've changed my ways, is like, sure, we'll do an ergonomic consultation for you. We're going to go check all the stuff. We're going to give you a report. Here's your report. Good luck. Thanks for the money. And call me next year. What happens, and I've learned this over the years, is it's in an ineffective program because it hasn't been implemented all the way through and then reassessed, and the employee has to be brought into every single level. And those type of programs are not easy. So if you want to check the box, or your company is good with checking the box, that's fine. We're here to say there's other things to do, and at the end of the day, when the company cares about productivity and getting things done better and right, and how do we do this with less pain, we're talking about kind of trying to pull all that together.
So, what actually hurts productivity? Because us safety professionals know it's not us, right? We're not the ones slowing them down, right? What does slow people down is, well, one of my favorite stories is a report of wrist pain because the task they had to do was flipping this little rubber cap. So I wanted to go understand what that felt like, so I go and do a couple, and I'm like, yeah, that isn't comfortable. Why do we do it this way? How many of you think that the answer was, because somebody told me to?
Oh, yeah.
So then I ask, well, who told you to do that? Well, so-and-so did. So we go talk to so-and-so, right? And you ask, so why do we do it this way? Well, that's how so-and-so told me. Okay. So I finally just go over to the engineering group and I ask, why do we do it this way? Well, that's not how we're supposed to do it. There's a tool for this. So, pain slows us down. Pain causes investigation. Investigation causes more work, right? More stuff for us to do, more people to talk to. And ultimately, well, we weren't doing it right from the get-go. So, when we don't talk through things right away, Because we had different pain coming from different areas before. We've had wrist assembly. You're gonna have wrist pain, hand pain. But how did we get to that point? Stuff like that hurts productivity, not taking the 20 minutes to talk to the physical therapist, right?
Yeah, and I love this. I've had a couple companies like, hey, we want to do stretching. Okay, great, we'll do a stretching program. And they said, well, we can't afford it because if we have 20 guys on a job site and each one of them takes 5 minutes to stretch, it's going to cost us X amount of dollars. And I'm like, oh, we're done having this conversation. Because if you think they're productive every minute of the day, are we productive every minute of the day?
Yes.
Oh, you're right. Okay, sorry. This is the perfect group up here on the third floor. Is that pretending like it isn't hurting people, that's what the problem actually is. It's not the fact that we're productive every minute of the day. I thought that was the biggest joke ever. They actually gave me the math. More than one company. That's going to cost me $3,522 per day. Back surgery is $100,000. Take it or leave it. I'm not here to talk you into anything. I'm here to present the information.
So, one of my favorite things to talk about when it comes to productivity is the mental health component. And as we've talked already, pain can affect our brain, right? I can say very specifically, yes it does. And so when we are working with people who are in crisis or who are struggling, what do you think their productivity looks like? Are they gonna slow down? Are they gonna not be connected? Are they gonna not bother to walk back to the truck to get the proper fall protection? What decisions are we making because we are exhausted? Because we weren't at work the day we did that training. Or, in the struggling. Are we eating? Are we sleeping? What is our physicality doing there? If we're not eating and sleeping, and we go to lift a heavy box, what do you think is going to happen? So ultimately, when we can improve on those things, we want to be over excelling, right? Because then we get high performance out of people. That's what we want, right? Productivity. But if we continue to pretend pain doesn't exist, or to try to encourage people to hide it, where are we going to be on that continuum? What decisions do we make because of that?
Yeah, and we could do a whole talk just on this, to be honest. Because since the body holds that trauma, and the body holds that pain, those issues, I'm sure if you've everyone's had some level of injury before. But do you remember back how it felt to not do what you wanted to do? Do you remember what it was like? And when you wanted to go either, I don't know, do your sport, do your activity, or pick up the kids, or whatever you wanted to do, how it feels to not do what you want to do. And then all the stuff that comes with that. We forget. And it's sensitive. It's important.
So let's talk about what actually does work. We're done with the negative side of it.
I know.
So we're going to talk about what really does actually work to improve productivity and to improve the lives of people in reality. Because honestly, as safety people, that's really one of the biggest jobs we have. Our job is literally improving the well-being of the people around us. Have you thought about it like that? That is truly what your job is. So, learning, observing, experiencing. How many of us go try to do a task that somebody's complaining about? Within your training, at least. Does that give you a different perspective? Can you understand why somebody might make this decision or that decision? Because, oh, I tried it, I did it. You're not doing it for 10 hours a day, but how is the response from that individual that you asked to teach you how to do that? Did they start telling you more? Did they start communicating more with you about what's going on? It opens up a lot of doors. A big one that really makes a big difference from when I was an on-site safety person, getting to work with an on-site physical therapist. Well, I had a whole lot of work to do already, because how many of us have EHS as our title? And we know that E takes a person and a half already, and then we have the H and the S to deal with. While having somebody who was also working on the health side, who had a different set of competencies than I did, gave our ergonomics program a huge boost. Because people had somebody to talk to. People had somebody who could scientifically explain things, but also have that empathy in how they explain things. Because how many of us as safety people know everything there is about safety? Wanna come work with me? So setting yourself up with the tools, with the people, with what it is you need to fill some of those other competencies. I'll be the first one to say, if it comes to the E stuff, I'm gonna call somebody else. That's not where my drive is. But we have, in this, honestly, I love biomechanics, so working with a physical therapist was also fun for me because I got to learn a little bit more of what I already loved. Yeah, I'll let you.
Yeah, and for me, it's about teaching people about their bodies so they make the changes on their own. To me, if I were to teach people to understand their body enough to when they're feeling an ache and pain to know what to do about it, that's music to my ears. That's what I want. Okay? So, body positioning, thinking about the body. We're going to do something together. Everybody stand up, please. Oh, she's making us stand up again.
Hope you weren't in here to take a nap after lunch.
No, I had to do it. Yeah, usually we get up more, but this topic isn't as normal as this. All right, so we're working at a company, and we're working for an electrical contracting company. We're pulling wire above head. You guys are all the workers now. And if a safe position, as you guys know, basic ergonomics, right, would be something to be kind of in this power zone between hips and shoulders, right? Basic knowledge, let's do the work here. We know some work has to be done above head, especially if you're pulling wire from the ceiling. If you don't know what that task looks like, we're just gonna have fun and pretend it's fine. You won't do it wrong. There's no reason why not to. Okay, so what I want you to do is we're gonna put our arm, your dominant arm, straight ahead. Okay? Now, this is that power zone, right? We're like easy peasy between hips and shoulders. Pulling wire, actually you're gonna go thumbs up, and you're gonna go, probably for most of us is gonna be not full extension, but about like in between here and here, right to here. Now, help me with the motion of pull. And we're pulling wire, okay? And you keep pulling, and you're gonna do that for 8 hours a day. There's resistance too, you're not feeling it right now. But if there's somebody comes to me with, I see this task, and they're having shoulder pain, put your arm back where it started. Now, I know as a PT, I'm looking at you, and again, if you have bad shoulders or necks, whatever, I'm not gonna judge you, you can put your arm down. Well, no, it's okay if you don't want to. It's okay. I'm not gonna give you a look, I promise. Listen, no judgment zone. If we're here, and I know that this motion is screwing up the rotator cuff, if I gave you one thing to try, right here, relax your shoulder. Keep your hand the same height, but you see how hiking the shoulder up? So put your shoulder in your ear. See, you're already connecting body and brain, love it. Now, relax. So that motion, relaxing the shoulder down, you can still do the task at that height, but it's not shearing on the rotator cuff. Does that make sense? Now, if I can describe the anatomy and that movement to somebody that is doing that task, and I'm just like, if you're here, can you relax your shoulder? Okay? If we can get people to do that and connect that task, they now are empowered to help their shoulder and have a decreased risk for injury. Music, love it. That's just one simple example you can sit down again.
So a big piece that I talk about a lot is this active listening, seeking to understand. How many of us have heard that buzzword before? Seek to understand conversations. Most of us, right? Do we go in with preconceived notions, bias?
Everybody does.
We can't help it, we all do.
Yep.
But when we go into a situation, especially, think of one where you just cannot understand how this person got hurt in this way. We all seen that before. Just, this isn't making sense to me. Well, how many of us want to just drop them off at HR and say, they're lying? It's gonna be the instinct when we have 10,000 other things to do as we're doing the job of 3 people, right? But when we start actively listening and start asking questions to get to the root cause of things, it goes a little bit different. I've had many situations where somebody reports an injury at work. Well, it turns out that it was really not relating to the things that they're doing at work, but they're having pain, and they don't know what to do about it. They don't know what to say. They don't know, they just don't know. And there's gonna be a lot more of those people than we want to realize. But when we just go into that active listening, that active conversation of wanting to understand people without that blame and bias, that conversation goes a lot further, and sometimes it's the only thing you needed to do. Because all of a sudden, that pain with that task isn't there, because somebody was hurt. There are different resources that we've all, the Hinge Health, I think is what it's called, as an app. There's the EAPs that we can use as well. There's a lot of tools out there. But a big one that Melissa has talked about previously with me is the micro moments that they are doing and helping, because again, how many of us are highly competent in every category of safety? All of us, right? Just Jay over here. But micro moments and the opportunity to teach people, which I'll let you talk about.
It's basically trying to help people connect with their body. So like you guys today, we did a few things, right? The back bends, what is your body feeling when we're doing this? When we're here, what does it feel like to reset our shoulder? What a micro moment is, and this to me is the best for production. First of all, how do you find little stretch breaks that work throughout the flow of work? Okay, production. We don't need to screw up production, but there's times where you can actually fit something in. My favorite was, I did a stretching program for block workers. That's a tough job, right? Those 50-pound, those cinder blocks. And I taught them, this is years ago when I thought I was, so savvy and I was just doing so great. I was like, I taught them, they seemed like they got it. Came back a month later and I drove up to the job site. And it was like, oh my God, they did a roll block and they just did a couple back bends. I was like, yes, all right, oh shit, that's good. Look at me, they learned something, they got it. Not so. I asked them to at least trust me to try it. They tried it and it became a habit. So everybody did a roll block, they all did a couple back bends. They did a roll block, couple back bends. Because I asked them, like, oh my gosh, you guys are doing it. I wanted them to say, yeah, your talk was great, your stretches were great. They're like, yeah, well, you told us to try it and see if it feels better, and it did, so we did it. Well, that's simple. Okay, great. So the things to me that work are those little moments throughout the day. Sometimes at like my company, we'll call them like micro breaks, or we'll call them stretch throughout the day, or something that gets people to connect to the body, like, ooh, I've been shoveling for a while, I feel sore, oh, keep going. No. What can you do to make your body feel better? That's what we want to do. We want to empower people to do that. Let's pop through the next one. So we created something for some companies. It's called Move Right. And it's like this is for construction. We've done it for manufacturing as well. We got all our PT brains together and said, all right, on a general construction site, we do this for manufacturing too, but the example is construction. On a general construction site, what are the most risky postures and positions as a PT looking at the work? Okay, great. Overhead, sitting, material handling, push-pull, prolonged standing. We have 11, there's 4. All right, what would we want everybody to know about overhead work? Oh, if you're doing overhead work, here's a couple stretches to do, and here's some ergonomic tips. Avoid the chicken wing, keep the elbows down. Work with intention, shoulder tension. They're a little, cheesy for a reason, because you remember the cheesy stuff. But getting information to people for them to connect and prevent. If I die today and people have learned something and implemented it so their bodies feel better, I'd be a happy person. So we started working on how can we use our PT brains, see the risks, talk to the people doing the work, making sure they understand the anatomy in a way that makes sense, and they make the choices to do it for themselves. That's what we've been trying to do.
And when you get that buy-in, especially from those individuals who have, who are foremen, who are supervisors, who have been doing the task for a long time, if they're continuously doing it, what do you think your newer employees are gonna start doing? They're gonna start following, because they will always follow what those who have been there longer do, good, bad, or otherwise.
Yeah, I'm always like, give me your most curmudgeon person. Give me the angriest guy or gal in the group, and let me turn them to my side, and the rest is history. So that's how it actually works. This is something else we've been doing recently, and this is how ergonomics and stretching goes together, is looking at what the company, what people have done for work. This is a high voltage company in the Midwest that's national. And we looked at the work that they did. Now here's the ergonomic piece. Here's the ergonomic risk. Welding, gripping, grappling, using heavy tools and gloves, we put a picture. So it's like, oh, those guys that weld, or the guys doing that. Now we said, if you're doing that task, then take a break and do a few of these stretch things. If you're bending forward or kneeling, then take breaks and do these. It's very specific to tasks. This is a great idea to come up with if the company's like, well, can we do some things that are connected to the tasks? Like, that's a brilliant idea. Yeah, we can. So this makes sense for them, and now we've done that more with manufacturing as well. If you're doing a task for a while, then try this as a break, right? Because we don't want them to get so far into pain, we want them to connect to discomfort, and then try something. And then we have the basic stretch stuff too. We're doing good on time.
I'm actually impressed with us.
I know, we got a couple minutes.
2:25.
That's all right.
So, ultimately, what our goal was for you to take away today, pain is personal. And coming in with those unbiased, as best we can, conversations are gonna go a long way. Just because you had that injury, or you've done that job, that perception of that individual is gonna be different, right? So how do we continue to have those conversations without shutting somebody down? And how does that equate to productivity? Well, does that person trust you? Are they now connected to you and more likely the job? And when we have connection to what we're doing, what does that look like? How much more does somebody want to do? Not just have to do, but want to do.
And then how do we take that person when they are in discomfort and give them things to do so their discomfort doesn't turn into pain and doesn't turn into an injury? They will be productive, they will feel better, and that's just the right thing to do for our people.
So when we can find the root cause of what is going on, whether it is a setup at work or a specific task or an old haunting injury that some of us have, what is the root? What can we do about it? For me, sometimes, there's not a whole lot somebody can do for the pain that I have anymore. I've had my surgeries. Pretty much if I miss a day of working out, I'm gonna be in pain. So what does that look like when I'm struggling? How do you help me? Well, an individual noticed something was off with me, and they brought me a bottle of water. And why did that make my day a whole lot better? Somebody saw me. Somebody noticed that something wasn't right. And when you're not alone, it's a whole lot easier to get through things. Because pain is very isolating, whether it is chronic or something that's just starting, but it's starting to distract you. Because how many of us have had that kind of pain where we're not, at a 10 on the pain scale, but it's enough to be annoying, to not enjoy certain things that we do, or to slow us down at work. How many of us like to get slowed down at work? It's enough to drive me crazy. So doing some of those little things, understanding the root cause, but also what can you do just in humanity? What can we do for people? Sometimes it is literally a bottle of water.
Yeah. So we hope, did you guys get something out of today? Was it a little bit different, a little bit spin? Hopefully you're just wandering here for no reason. We'll see if there's any open-ended questions, but if not, Kylie will be down. We're also exhibiting. If you guys want to come down and you have any specific questions, let me know. I have a very special snack that I'll give out to people that stop by and say hi. But do we have any questions from the group? Any thoughts, comments, questions?
So do you have any examples for that task? Because I work for manufacturing for med device, and a lot of our task is hand oriented.
Mhm.
So do you have the task for construction, do you have an example for the manufacturing?
We do it, I just didn't pop it in here right
Oh,
now.
yeah.
Yeah, it's very specific.
Yep.
Yeah, because even though it's hands, it starts from the spine.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we definitely have that some stuff. What else? We were so good, there's no questions from the audience. Okay, I'm gonna run with that. So, I don't know anyways, we're down in the production hall. I have these little cute cupcakes if you guys wanna come and get one, you can. But if you have questions, if you have comments, you have feedback, certainly use the QR code because they do look at the information and we do get the feedback, which helps me personally be a better speaker and to make sure what I'm bringing to you today is of value. Kylie and I are passionate, but we really wanna make sure it didn't get, mixed with everything else you're learning. You'll learn a few key things and hopefully that happens. And then here's our information too. if you want.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And just a reminder too, please fill out the session comments and please join us for the reception later.